Hello everyone, we're Team 3BeeBox, a marketing consulting company that specializes in target product sampling. Our motto is try it and like it before you buy it. My name is Noel. I'm one of the co-founders of 3BeeBox. And we've got Ryan in charge for sales and legal, and Simon who's in charge for finance and operation. We also have two fantastic advisors. Petro is the HKU MBA professor, and he was the senior VP of IT and digital at Phones Holding. And we have Arthur. Arthur was the VP of Alibaba, and is currently the CEO and chairman of UCO Cosmetic. Let's meet Rachel here. Rachel is like many of us. She goes to the supermarket and she sees there are lots of choices, but she's afraid to make the wrong purchase. For FMCG brand, they have limited marketing budget, limited understanding of the clients, yet they want to get more market exposure and they want to get more new consumer. From the research that we did, the failure rate of FMCG company in Hong Kong is actually quite high. Therefore, 3BeeBox is here to provide and to add value to both end consumer and FMCG brand. For FMCG brand, we're going to grow the customer base. We're going to do research, market testing for them, and to provide consultation, insight, and analysis. And in terms of social network, we can help a lot of smaller brand and company to get into the Hong Kong market. For end consumer, you get to try product for free. You get to find product that you like. You can share your opinions, your voice with the brands. And more important, it helps to reduce regrettable purchasing. And because of that, we recently won the Best CSR and SDG Business Award from the organization here.
So here's how the business process is going to work on the ground. Once we get new users, we're going to collect their demographic information as well as their consuming preferences. We're then going to group these users into different groups and then ship them samples through Hong Kong Post based on what the brand's target audience is. We're then going to gather their products, gather their feedback, and then we're going to compile reports and analysis, which we can hand over to the brands so that they can make future business decisions. If we're able to secure this funding, we're also going to integrate big data as well as automation to make this process more smooth. We have several advantages over the incumbent traditional product sampling sector in that they typically do their product distribution on the street with anybody who's nearby them. We're able to target specific audiences online, and we're able to also provide added value by doing sample tracking, anonymous testing, as well as research and analysis. This means that our service level is quite high, whereas our price point is actually lower than traditional product sampling. So we actually don't charge our members anything. We make all of our revenue from the brands, which we get from distributing the samples and providing the analysis to them. We've got several inclusive packages depending on how deep into this process they want to go. Financially, the Hong Kong marketing environment is very mature at this point, nearly 40 billion Hong Kong dollars in 2016. About 10% of that was for FMCG goods. Now, the traditional product sampling space is 193 million Hong Kong dollars in terms of revenue. If we're able just to squeeze 10% of that market share, that's 19.3 million Hong Kong dollars. Now, we've crunched the numbers already, and we haven't had to take in any debt yet, so we estimate that our payback period is only going to be 16 months from when we go live. We already have 163 members, more than 500 Facebook followers, and we've already done 80 sample sendouts. We've been featured on Hong Kong MBA magazine. We're active in social media on the University Startup Hub, and we've also put up posters across campuses in Hong Kong on notice boards. So we had our minimum viable product go live in early March, and then 2 weeks ago, we had our first sample send-out. So now we're focusing on recruiting new members, and in the short term, we're going to start partnering with brands. We're going to do online focus groups and online surveys, and then we're going to expand to other Asian markets shortly. So this is our management ethos. Traditional product sampling is like using a machine gun. You waste lots of ammunition, but you don't end up hitting anything. We're going to try to be like snipers so that we hit the right target with precision and efficiency every time. That's our QR code. Please scan it. The judges, you have a feeling of how this experience is going to be already in that what we've given to you. Thank you very much. Join us today.
So how is the feedback collected?
So we have already a website and a mobile app as well, which we have questionnaires, survey questions that for every send-out that we have, we've got surveys that the member needs to complete before they're eligible for the next send-out. And this includes lots of questions, if-then questions, basically, so that we can gather their feedback, and we obviously will consult the brands on what sort of questions they want, how they want to dive deeper into the data.
What is the major problem you're facing now?
I think the major problem that we're facing right now is we do the whole process manually, and it takes a lot of time, and we consider that's quite low value, and but that was an MVP. So going forward, if we can secure the funding today, the first thing we're going to do is automate the whole process.
So what prevents other copying your model? How much lead time you think you have or competitiveness?
So it's taken us several months to actually get the minimum viable product up and running. We had to build a website, we had to build a complicated database system, and even then, we still need to do a lot of it manually. So the front end looks great from the customer's perspective, but in terms of the back end, it's still quite work intensive. We're the first mover in Asia Pacific. We already have examples of this business in North America and in Australia, but we haven't had anything in Asia Pacific yet. Noel has connections with FMCG companies. I'm a salesman. Simon is an operations expert, so we do have the advantage on this.
What about the revenue model, and how do you entice the investor to put money in? I mean, we're looking for return, and the scale up, how do you scale it up?
So in terms of investment, we've actually been quite prudent about how we've spent our money so far, and we don't think that we're going to need too much initial investment in terms of giving out equity. We haven't had to take on any debt yet. We've been able to finance it ourselves so far, and also with the Cyberport funding. Hopefully, if we can lock in DreamCatcher as well, that should bring us to a point where, based on all the investments we need to do, we should be able to start getting paying customers before we actually start bleeding too much.
Why your survey is better than the other company? Like a big company like a P&G, they do all the survey, targeted marketing, feedback type of things. Why you think you are better than them?
Instead of like for P&G actually did that themselves in North America, but for them to have to hire an entire team to do that. A lot of milk powder company, they have mom cop, which they use to collect data from the parents. But again, it can spend a lot of money. So instead of doing that themselves, they can actually outsource this part to us, and we can help them to do it with more efficiency and with much lower cost.
The theme that you have is the targeted sampling, distribution, and then getting the feedback, right? Yes. So how do you differentiate yourself from any others? Now, take for example, I'm a consumer product company. I'll just buy targeted lists, from any company and place an advertisement. They can just click and get the sample, and then provide feedback to the consumer product company directly. Why would they have to go through you?
Because after months of developing, we already have a huge database that basically covers everything. If they have to do it themselves, then they will have to start getting members. Like for us, we already have existing.
They do not need to. There are so many companies out there that can, with their apps, with targeted advertisement, they could just place an ad there, and then people can just click on those.
Sorry, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you. I can answer your question after if you'd like.